next up, we have a very exciting panel. It's led by Michael Terpin, who is the founder and CEO of Transform Ventures, formed in 2013, and he has worked with hundreds of crypto projects and is known as the godfather of crypto. This panel is going to address AI's got the receipts. Is your wallet telling on you? I'll invite Michael to come up and introduce his panel. Thank you, Michael.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon, Toronto. So I'm Michael Terpin. Have to shill my book. I'm the author of Bitcoin Supercycle, just came out a few months ago. And we're right on track to be getting 200K Bitcoin this year, which is very exciting. And I want to introduce my panelists. Today we're going to be talking within Privacy 2.0, the AI revolution. This is called AI's got receipts. Is your wallet telling on you? And so we've got the four panelists, Cal, Alex, and Keyan and me. Please come on up, and I'll let you do your own bios when I ask the first question. Okay, great. Okay, so we're talking about not only just wallets, but also AI and DeFi, and you can't talk about those in one word without talking about agents. And agents are definitely the hottest thing in tech right now. In 5 years, everyone's going to be using agents to pay their bills, do their trading, etc. And so the first question before we get into the wallet technology that I want to ask everyone about, and then you can give your bio and then give the answer. Right now, like 99% of AI is in centralized stacks, right? It's all the big tech firms. It's Microsoft overwhelmingly now with their OpenAI, with their ChatGPT, OpenAI, and then you got Grok and all these other big tech firms. And when you ask them about decentralized AI, they just laugh and say it's a toy. So is the use case of people not trusting big tech sufficient to get them to go and consider something that is decentralized and running on stable coins for their payments, robot to robot? And I'll let the panelists now introduce themselves and give that answer.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cal, the product lead at SilentSwap. We are a privacy-preserving swap, so allow you to send funds to anyone on chain without anyone knowing. So it's an interesting question. Like, I think on chain specifically, it's the only place where the playing field is quite level. So like maybe in like Web 2, the big guys really don't have any competition, but in this industry, I think everyone can compete, right? I mean, from the basic level, everyone has the same data as everyone else, which is, from our perspective, it could be a positive and a negative in some cases. But I think a lot of the reasons that smaller companies are going to be able to compete with bigger companies in AI is because of how slow-moving these big companies are, especially in AI. I mean, you're seeing it now. OpenAI spent $500 million or something crazy like that to build ChatGPT, right? And DeepSeek came out and did it with a few $1 million and a much smaller team. So, it's interesting that AI is going to help make this possible for smaller teams and help them outcompete these larger teams. That's it.
Okay. Alex?
Hey everyone, I'm Alex. I'm CEO of Secret Labs. We are developing Secret Network, which is all about decentralized confidential computing. Our chain allows confidential execution of smart contracts, and now we're also building infrastructure for confidential and verifiable execution of any workloads, including running large language models like Llama, or DeepSeek, or anything else. So to the question, I think competing with huge incumbents is always a challenge, right? But companies and projects succeed in that to a certain extent. You know, ProtonMail, Brave Browser, a couple of other projects, Signal, they get their large audiences, you know, from the large incumbents. So it is possible, and I think also with the advent of AI agents, there will be more and more demand for various kinds of models. There will be more heterogeneity in the models that are running, and that may be a very good place for confidential AI services to shine to protect the user data. Still, unfortunately for all of us, an average user does not clearly understand the privacy risk or risks that they are running every day by using all kinds of stuff, be it Facebook, OpenAI, or a public blockchain, and there is still a lot of education to be done. It is moving a little bit year by year, but there's still a lot of work to make sure that consumers really understand the privacy risks involved. So there is a bright future, in my view, for confidential AI, but probably the entryway would be through convincing agent developers to use confidential AI, and then moving on to the mass consumers.
Jay?
Hi, everyone. We are Kuvi.ai, an AI-driven agentic interface. And we do actually have a partnership with Secret Network as well. And regarding the question, the wallet, of course, blockchain, everything is on the blockchain. Everything is traceable. At the moment, people feel like it's a jungle. They use it. They're not worried about privacy. They are not worried about regulations. But governments are wising up. More regulations going to come in. This is going to be definitely a problem for everyone. And what Alex is doing at Secret Labs is they are building an infrastructure that allows you to run code in a private space. And in conjunction with Kuvi, that means you can do everything crypto by just talking as if you're talking to ChatGPT. Imagine you have ChatGPT, and it allows you to do whatever you think you need to do in crypto. That means you can ask questions, you can do a lot of trades, including swaps, you can do a lot of automations. And the part about privacy comes down to Secret Labs. They need to make this sphere secure and untraceable for many good reasons. I mean, many people here liked crypto in the first place because it's like a new space, not like the traditional, like the finance. But as I said earlier, this is going to change, and that's what we are doing here. Hopefully, this will be achievable in the upcoming year.
Keyan?
Good afternoon, everyone. Keyan Ravanshid, co-founder, president, HODL Markets, which is a multi-manager hedge fund. We're based in Miami, but I had the pleasure of living for 4 years in Toronto, so it's nice to be back here with everyone. In response to Michael's question, I'm going to keep it short, echo some of what I heard. I think that it is not enough. The decentralized nature of some of these DAI offerings is not enough to allure people over. There's a certain, desire that companies have and people have to have one centralized entity to blame, unless the product, the DAI products, are actually better than what's available on the market with an easy subscription or enterprise license offering. So I think we're still a ways away.
Thank you. So the second question I want to ask is just sort of the state of privacy and how that's going to impact the move from Web 2 to Web 3. I mean, we've certainly come a long way since just last year with the crackdown over the Biden administration and Gary Gensler, going and arresting programmers for Tornado Cash, et cetera. And it seems like a lot of that has been reversed, and programming is now legal. Use cases still are monitored, but how is this impacting just privacy-centric platforms like Secret and others? And do you see more resistance or more sort of encouragement for moving to privacy-centric solutions, both in wallets and in other use cases?
So I think demand has skyrocketed in the past year or two, right? I think everyone's talking about privacy now. We've definitely been inquired by quite a lot of projects to provide this service. Everyone's realizing, okay, some of the bigger problems in this industry have been somewhat solved: throughput, gas, whatnot, interoperability, and now we're at the point where Web 2 is being onboarded, and they're like, why can everyone see my money, right? You have VCs, you have hedge funds that are coming in, and they're being profiled, they're being front-run all the time, right? I mean, you're a VC, I'm sure there's plenty of other VCs that are just piggybacking off your work. They see you enter a position, they see you invest in someone, and they're following your every step, right? So at this point in time, I think the next problem to solve is privacy, right? Gas, throughput, these have become smaller, incremental changes in this industry. The next big task at hand is providing privacy to everyone on chain.
So I think the macro changes are, of course, positive for the privacy landscape, but still, and it might not sound popular, but privacy, especially in the Web3 space, has kind of become a scary word. And a lot of institutional players hear the word privacy and they back off. Try to list a privacy coin on a centralized exchange. Or at a respectable OTC desk. They would just back off. And a lot of that is about education from our standpoint. Again, we need to explain to the public what the differences are between privacy coins, for instance, like Monero, and what we are doing in a lot of other projects, which is confidential computing. So incidentally, just today, Messari released a report that's called Decentralized Confidential Computing and the Next Frontier in Privacy, or something like this. And in this report, and we were, we are covered in this report, and we were part of, making it happen. And our goal was to actually establish a new narrative, a new category in the space called Decentralized Confidential Computing. And there are 15 or 16 companies, including SilentSwap, that are part of this coverage. And my hope is that this DCC narrative will help to dispel this negative perception of the word privacy that happens in a lot of places in our community, and will help actually confidential computing to become less scary, less about something that people think about something illegal, and more about actually protecting users' confidentiality and making our technologies really usable for a wide range of real-life use cases where, of course, data protection is super important.
It's a lot of times there's misconceptions between the word privacy and the word secrecy. It's the Bank Secrecy Act, not the Bank Privacy Act, right? And in my book, Bitcoin Supercycle, I have a whole chapter on the history of the cypherpunks leading up to the invention of Bitcoin. And one of the early cypherpunks, I think it's Tim May, basically said that privacy is your right to selectively unveil your information to the world. Secrecy is that no one gets to know it. And so privacy, is absolutely legal. And secrecy, that's sort of depending jurisdiction by jurisdiction. And so, I think that that's a good point when discussing some of these issues. Jay.
Yes, as somebody who's been coding for maybe 18 years, and I've been developing AI myself, I would say that it is not good for privacy, for sure. As more AI advances, our privacy becomes more and more scarce. We have systems that are very intelligent at tracing, at following, and doing analysis that was not doable earlier. So that is definitely not positive unless we do something about it. There are technologies like Monero, as you put it, which is secretive, and there are confidential computing solutions like what we have here that allow you to do kind of evade the problem. And I wouldn't call it a problem at the moment we need to solve. So I don't have a positive outlook on that. I would say AI is not helping at the moment, but it is something that we can do something about it. This is a problem that can be tackled. And hopefully it would be achieved.
Keyan?
Hedge funds actually have an interesting sort of relationship with secrecy and privacy because when we invest across multiple asset classes, not just crypto. In crypto, if you're executing on-chain, on DEXs, for example, your order flow is basically public. So there's no privacy or secrecy. Traditionally, when you either execute on a centralized exchange or in the equities or fixed income markets, you can actually play with the degree of privacy that you're exposing to incite certain market behavior in other participants. So I think that it's going to actually become more important to design, let's say, some of the protocols that are behind the decentralized exchanges for people like us who are trying to execute on DeFi as volumes grow, to integrate an ability to actually have some privacy in your order flow and maybe do away with secrecy altogether because that is bad for the democratization of finance, which is one of the pillars, obviously, of the industry and the reason that we're all here.
Great.
SilentSwap has a solution exactly for you guys.
I was going to say that's exactly what we do, right? We aggregate between index, so you can enter any position, but it doesn't connect the sender and the receiver. So most of our customers are actually, a lot of them are hedge funds and everything like that.
So the final question is, I'm going to go from the general to the specific. And I know some of you have your own platforms to meet these needs. And others you just are using or encouraging or investing in some of these platforms. At Transform Ventures, which is my company, I have a booth out there on the 3rd floor if you want to come by and say hi. I've got about 50 portfolio of companies, and about 3 or 4 of them are addressing aspects of this. One is Matterify, which does allow payments that are not seen by other parties. And so I know all of you have certain solutions that you prefer. And so I'll let you go and talk about why. Start with Cal.
So, I prefer SilentSwap, obviously.
You're going to shill yours. That's good.
Yeah.
It's the time. It's appropriate.
So the problem with sending funds on chain, right? It's very clear you're connecting 2 people, right? Hedge funds, we'll use the hedge fund example, where hedge funds are entering positions and people are copying them. People are front running them. Alpha is everything in this space, especially if you're a hedge fund, especially if you're looking to get one up on the competition. So SilentSwap essentially allows you to enter these positions from any chain to any chain. And it, there's like other privacy swaps out there. The issues with them, they're all kind of are decentralized. Just send funds to some exchange and send them off the exchange. And you really are just relying on the centralized privacy of the exchange, even though the exchange obviously can correlate the 2 addresses. SilentSwap is fully decentralized. We're built with Secret Network, obviously. We use Secret Network as our privacy layer. So it's completely decentralized from every bridge, every part of our stack. The other thing I'll say is that it's completely non-custodial. We don't ever hold funds. We don't ever know anything about the funds. So it's kind of like the all-in-all solution. Our founder is a wealthy individual. He actually built SilentSwap for himself, just so he can be able to move funds without being tracked, without doxing his wallets, doxing his family and friends. And we've been building this for about 1.5 years, 2 years now almost. So he was really early on. He understood that this was a problem that he had and that others had. So it's really useful for everybody, not just hedge funds, but the average user if they want to enter a position privately. I'll let everyone else shill now.
Yeah, so obviously SilentSwap is a great solution. I can also talk a little bit about Secret Network and why Secret Network offers, like what's the technology that offers those privacy features. So in Secret Network, all the smart contracts are executed in a confidential environment. So the inputs, the outputs, and the state of the contract is confidential. Now, a token, as you all know, an ERC20 token is a contract. It's a smart contract that actually has a list of holders and their balances and a transfer function, very simply. So on Secret Network, we have our own version of that called SNP20, exactly the same functionality, and all those tokens are fully confidential. So your holdings and your holdings are private, and what you send and to who is also private. So you get this full confidentiality, and it's well integrated with all the major wallets. So with Kepler Wallet, with MetaMask, so that exists. And also on Secret, we have a DeFi suite called Shade, where you can swap tokens, and there is wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Ethereum. All the major tokens are there, USDC, USDT. So it's a very nice environment for trading with great user experience, very similar to Uniswap or any other leading DEXs. And fully confidential and without MEV, because nobody can see your transactions before they're actually executed, so nobody can front run anything. So ideal for holders and for people who care, in general, for people who care about being confidential and not exposing all of their financials to the world.
So the miner extractable value is a bigger part of this as well. So we've got a little over 2 minutes left, so about a minute each for Jay and for Keyan to talk about preferred solutions.
Yes, I would just say in the beginning that when it comes down to privacy, there's a trade-off between how much private do you want to be versus how much convenience do you need. You have to make this trade-off. And what we are doing at Kuvi is we are making it very convenient to be private by default. That's all we are doing, basically. And that is our partnership with Secret Network. What they are providing is a platform that allows confidential computing. That means the agents that we build, the code that is behind these agents, can be verified and cannot be tampered with. So anyone out there can be certain that the code being executed was not tampered with. That's all that there is to it. And we are just making it convenient. We are making it easy to interact with crypto in a by default private mode. That's all we are doing. And as I said, if you want right now, even if you're dealing with DeFi, even though everything's on blockchain, there are many ways to be private. There are many ways to be 100% anonymous. They're 100% secretive, but they are just too difficult. And may I add, this is not what we are also aiming for. We don't want to be secretive. We don't want to hide things necessarily from governments, but we want to have things, as we earlier talked about, privately. Private doesn't mean secretive. And that's all we are doing again. We are just making it more convenient.
We'll wrap up with Keyan.
Best for last, right?
Yeah.
So basically, HODL Markets is a business that's built on top of a traditional multi-manager hedge fund, as everyone would understand it. What we're doing, which is interesting and different, though, is we're bringing hedge funds to the people. What that means is we've tokenized a lot of funds and a lot of strategies, both some very well-known public domain strategies like Momentum and some more novel strategies, market-neutral strategies, long-short strategies, et cetera. And we distribute them. So through B2B2C, so the apps that everyone has in their pockets, like Robinhood, eToro, et cetera, and also through DeFi protocol, our own, and also through wealth advisors, now in the United States, soon in Canada, and the UK, Europe, and across the world. So people will be able to access hedge fund strategies, which has never been done before in history, and really be on an equal footing with the big boys, and maybe even get a piece of the LP pie in some of the big known names as well. So this project is built on top of a fund with a long track record, but it's a new way of opening up our LP. Thank you.
Great, and we more or less ended on time. Thanks to our panelists. Everyone should be around for the rest of the day, and come see us before the end of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.